Word up, mic check, check, check. Joining us now, super MC, rap legend, the one and only Consequence. 9-second applause.
Yo. What's good? What's good?
Word up. Thank you for joining me, brother. How are you?
Oh, man, all is well. And yourself?
Doing good, man. Yo, this got to be an exciting time for you. You got a project dropping. Is it the 22nd or the 27th?
Well, actually, we're going to put it out on 12/13.
Okay.
So 12/13, we got the deluxe version of Night Doing Business with You coming out, which will basically be picking up where I left off in September with the initial drop. So we had about like 7 new songs. It'll be like 17 joints on this joint. So deluxe, we got some special guests on this joint, and we'll throw a couple of the archive joints on there for the people who've been following the movement.
Word up. Take me through, if you can, the process of putting this project together.
Joy and pain. Easy rock and raw bass. Couldn't have said it better. Yeah, just but I think to get to any place that's even in the consideration of something worthwhile or great, there has to be both, you know what I'm saying? And I guess the pain process was, obviously, for people who know, I went through a life-changing crisis in 2020 with my health. Was diagnosed with 2 autoimmune diseases, which are SLE, lupus, and diabetes type 1. That was a painful process. Joy being now that I have my A1C at around late 4 or 5, which when I was diagnosed it was 14. So that's reason for joy. You know what I'm saying? And even looks like the 17-year gap between Don't Quit Your Day Job and Night Doing Business. There was a lot of joy and a lot of pain in that. You know what I mean? I mean, the pain is obviously like, I've had a very storied career from the time that I started to us speaking right now, you know what I mean? And that's all due to my number one strength is just figuring it out and due diligence. You know what I mean? You look at some of my peers, I mean, we just literally just lost Clark Kent, you know what I mean? And that was one of my early champions as an MC, you know what I'm saying? So just in this whole journey, it's been, like I said, it's really been joy and pain. But I mean, the joy is that I was able to do it. Very well received. First time in my career where I was executive producer and able to actually produce the bulk of what I was rapping on, you know what I mean? And even being able to have my contemporaries be like, yo, I can't believe you did these beats. You know what I mean? So, and it's the start, ironically, after all this time, it's just the start of a new chapter. Like my son is on my album. He's signed on my label, and right now he's got 5 million views on the Radar's TikTok page, which is a feat within itself. You know what I'm saying? And I'm going into 25. It's cash in time. That's how I'm looking at it.
I mean, it feels like hip hop is the family business.
It has become. And so, in addition to the talent aspect of it, I'm definitely teaching my son about publishing. I'm definitely teaching my son about copyright and ownership, and what it looks like when you get a sync license and things of that nature. And what does it mean when you have 5 million views on somebody else's TikTok page, and how do you liquefy that into cash? You know what I mean? So in addition to just being popular, we don't want to be broke. We don't play the broke game.
Right. I feel you on that. I think, this song that you have with Chuck D, right? It's a powerful song. I mean, I'm not quite sure when you dropped it, but did you drop this right after the election? Is that when you dropped this?
Yeah. because it's indicative of what the conversation that we, what we just talking about, like family business. On the surface, someone would hear what has America done and think that it's directly about race, but it's actually about capitalism. You know what I mean? Capitalism is a numbers game, essentially. Because in order to have a winner, you have to have a loser. That's capitalism, right? Um, so unfortunately for our people, a lot of times we find ourselves on the shorter end of the stick when it comes to that. And of course there's a sensitivity, there's a sensitivity with history. And the funny thing about like the What Has America Done record is it's just really indicative of everything that you learn in school. You learn math, you learn science, you learn English, and you obviously learn history, right? So when you combine all those things and you take a look at what America has done from a capitalist standpoint, America has created a situation where there has to be a winner and there has to be a loser. And no one wants to celebrate second place. You don't hear anybody say, hey, I'm running around with a silver medal. I'm running around as the Western Conference final champ. That's more something you just like, I got it, but I kind of fell short of number one, right? And so with our history, you know, we got to do way more because we got less numbers in population. We've been considered less with the stigma of being a minority. So no matter what, Michael Jordan jumped from the free throw line and black people still minorities. That sounds like someone who could jump from the free throw line would be superior. But the word minority is based on a number count. And so, what has America done is for me, my offering as an education lesson. And I went and got the best professor I know on the planet in Chuck D.
1 second applause. For real. You got a line in here, like the way you close this verse, the second verse is actually pretty crazy to me. Right? I'm gonna read a couple bars here and then I wanna ask your perspective on it. So you close the second verse with, so what has America done for me? Pushed the goal line further, accused me of murder, fed me French fries and burgers, gave me high blood pressure, took my resource and treasures, raped our women and mommies, made us dope fiends and zombies. Who say they're gonna clean up but can't shake off the lean cup?
Just can't shake off the lean cup. So
And
what has America
done for you?
Right.
The land of opportunity and
Opportunity and W's.
Yeah, where's that dichotomy come from? Because everything is first person, me, and then all of a sudden it switches to second person or third person on that last line.
Because all those things I experienced firsthand, one way or the other. You know what I mean? Starting from back to front. Say they're gonna clean up, but just can't shake off the lean cup. Now, growing up in the crack era, right? To see anybody I know drink lean and become a fiend is ridiculous, right? Because we saw the effects of what becoming zombies did to the hood. You know what I'm saying? The worst thing you could ever see is one of your friends strung out. Probably the worst thing you could ever see in your life. To see somebody that you grew up with and played basketball with or played manhunt or, you know what I'm saying, was hollering at y'all first little chicks together, and then you wake up 10 years later and he's sleeping outside because what a substance did to him is crazy. It's crazy. That's an L, right? That's a L, right? Let's keep going backwards with the L's. Raped all women and mommies. So if that's the case, how can a black woman protect you when she's been unprotected herself? If someone gives someone a lifetime of pain, it's a lifetime of pain. It's not gonna go away. Rape constitutes a lifetime of pain. If a Caucasian woman is raped in America, she's entitled to a lifetime of pain. For a black woman in America, whatever happens to her, she's just supposed to get over it and get up and keep moving. like ain't nothing happened. You got a family to raise, or you got this to do, or you got that to do, because you still struggling. You know what I'm saying? But that's something that someone's always gonna struggle with. You know what I mean? Give me high blood pressure, rate the resource and treasures. Once again, and fed us French fries and burgers. Like, as African Americans, as Africans who came to America, if you really do any research, which I had to do because I was diagnosed with something that nobody else has in my family. So how could I get this? How is this even possible? Right? I don't. Who's diabetic? Um, Probably somebody who eats wheat bread and their body isn't constructed for it. Someone who eats a lot of bread, bagels, and because it became addicted to taste and didn't know that taste could become an addiction. So yeah, unfortunately, I did use a kid who was a heavyset kid to make that example of of us understanding that we don't understand dieting. We've never been even given an inclination of what's good and bad for us until we get into an age where it's we haven't been building our body. We've been offering it to decomposition on the strength of what we like. Everything that we like isn't good for us.
Mm.
You know what I mean? Accused of murder. I mean, America loves Snoop Dogg, and he's been accused of murder. I mean, so what's that for the rest? What's that looking like for the rest of us then? You know what I mean? And so that's where it comes from.
Mm. Yeah. I mean, the visual is powerful too. I mean, did you film that on a plantation? Where'd you shoot the video for that?
Yes, I filmed it on a plantation in South Carolina. Shout out to my good friend Snoop, Ali Hicks. He a brother I went to school with. My high school got my bro from high school, and I reached out to him. He's been in South Carolina for a good minute, a little bit after we all graduated and everything. And he has a store. He has a couple stores and businesses down there. And I reached out to him. I was like, yo, I need this. I need a favor, bro. Like, I need to find the most authentic location for this. It has to feel like it has to feel like what it was. You know what I mean? And South Carolina, there's still locations that preserve that history and that experience. And it's almost daunting and haunting when you go, because it's like, really, this is really what great grandma and grandpa was dealing with.
Right. Right. What part of South Carolina were you in?
Columbia, Spartanburg.
Okay, yeah. I mean, I used to live in Greenville, South Carolina. I went to college in Spartanburg.
Oh, okay, word.
Yeah, it's a haunting feeling going to a plantation, because they do a lot of reenactments in the South.
Right,
And
100%. They had a show popping at one of the spots we shot at, and like even the lady who I had, they put the maid on the Aunt Jemima box. When you see the lady, she was at one of the joints. She just agreed to do it.
word up.
You know what I mean? But I felt like it was important. I think this video is like what black people intent is when they use the word nigga. It's basically, this is what, although there was an intent, this is what we can take and use to strengthen us. You know what I'm saying? And push ourselves forward, just with the understanding of these are the things that occur to us, and this is what we have survived.
Mm. What do you feel like hip hop is still open to these type of messages over time? Like, right? Because I was listening. I'm gonna frame it this way. I was listening to Redman's the Shiznit freestyle, right? Because he's getting ready for Muddy Waters too, and he was talking about
Right.
he's from the '90s, the cream of the crop, right? And I think about that being a much more diverse messaging era than I do now. What's your perspective on, who will reach this, or who will this song reach?
If you, well, here's the thing. Here's the great thing about the future, right? Here's the great thing about YouTube. People can tell you how they feel, right? So I've seen an overwhelming amount of comments. The video has 1,200 comments, so it definitely has struck a nerve to start as a starting point. And the majority of the comments is like, "Yo, this is the rap that needs to be said right now." Not there's some comments that say, we still doing this, but if you look at the profile picture, it's someone who probably is, you know, in a space where this doesn't empower them. Let's just put it like that, right? Because we don't have in America the honest conversation that we all need to have in order to move forward, and that would have to be a black and white conversation, because for I think for white people, there's a guilt that for especially newer generations, that they don't want to necessarily be handcuffed to, because they feel like they didn't do it. You know what I'm saying? And technically that could be the case. Morally, it could be an argument that you didn't do it, but what are you doing about it?
Right.
You know what I mean? Because I think, and then honestly, for black people, I think the question needs to be posed that, all right, given the circumstances, what do you really want? What do you want? What do you want? What do you want? If you don't know what you want and you just asking for something, you're probably not gonna get it, because you're not being direct enough about what you want for that, right? Because if you want equality, all right, well then, boom, boom, boom. If you feel like you deserve to get paid, then you really gotta make that a point. You know what I'm saying? Like, you gotta make that point. Like, no one, a closed mouth don't get fed.
Right.
Right. So I think that's what's kind of happening on the YouTube. You know what I mean? But I would love to see the conversation and the dialogue go further, because I don't delete anything on there. So I let people I don't know why this is this, and what if America made you guys who you are. Okay, because I made the best of it.
Right.
And that's and according to the law of the land, that's what I was supposed to do at this point. But that doesn't take away the lawsuit. Right?
Right.
Like, if I go out here and I punch Salvatore in the mouth because of who I am, I probably just incurred a lawsuit, right? So if America is who it is and it beat up Jerome, Jerome don't have the same rights as Salvatore? So that's where we at. It's that simple, and it's that cut and dry, honestly.
Did you and Chuck D have conversations around this topic before you decided to jump on, and what was that like?
I mean, we didn't really have to, honestly. We didn't really have to. I mean, at the end of the day, because we come from where we come from, this doesn't leave. It doesn't really. I didn't have to tell him what he heard what I said, and that was it. And he brought it back, and it was perfect. It was just like, I couldn't ask him to do nothing better than what he did.
Word up! 1 second applause, man. So, what are your lasting thoughts on this election cycle? Like, were you surprised by the outcome at
all? What I will say is this: at the end of the day, I think both candidates I think both candidates um, gave themselves an optimum platform moving forward. I mean, obviously, Donald Trump is now the next president of the United States, which was a comeback for him. You know what I'm saying? I do think that Kamala Harris, um, given the circumstances, um, really showed it, a lot of grit and a lot of integrity. Um, you know, I think for a lot of people, the state of the economy and where we're at um, was probably a, a higher contributing factor than pretty much anything else. You know what I mean? I think also, you know, I didn't care for the Puerto Rico rather was a floating island of garbage remark. I didn't care for that, and I don't have to be Puerto Rican to have that notion,
Right.
right? I just think that you know I think that Donald Trump has figured out his base, and he's willing to activate that base at the uncomfortability of others. Um, but I think you know he does understand math. He does. I have to, you know, just like I feel like Kamala Harris understood the assignment enough to step up. You know what I mean? If there are things that both of them could have did better in the public, 100%. You know what I mean? But you know, I think America has voted, and I just I my now I have to, as a lobbyist for Black people, I have to worry about my constituents
Mm-hmm.
and how we gonna push forward. You know what I'm saying? Henceforth, which is why I put the video out, because once again, it's not a hit to the blue or the red or the blue. It's identifying what capitalism means for us.
You know, Kanye, when he was, I mean, he actually ran for president, but,
Right.
he was a Donald Trump supporter, and, he would make reference to the Democrat plantation. In this election cycle, we've seen Trump do better with black men, particularly, than probably any red team president I've ever seen in my lifetime. Maybe Reagan the second term, I guess. But between those two conversations, one thing that stands out to me is this idea that black people don't get tangibles from the Democratic Party. Do you think that's the case? And, as a lobbyist for black people, do you think that there's an opportunity for black people to join a third party, and to
Um.
prioritize our needs?
Well, I think what Kanye was, um, his viewpoint that he was um articulating was that there's always been just an assumed right of our vote to the Democratic Party. Just like we're black, we should be Democrats because dot 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 dot. Kanye is a thinker, and so when we were creating records, he likes to challenge thought. He's a thought challenger. You know what I'm saying? He likes to expound on thoughts to get to the best thought. So I think what he was his his communication at the time was, is this the best, does this represent the best thoughts for black people? Is this is should we just settle for just being Democrats? What does being a Democrat represent exclusively for black people? What does it represent? If you, because that's is part of the even the campaigning and voting process. Like you don't automatically just get anybody's vote unless there's some kind of, you know, nepotism there, which based on how we've been So here's the thing, right? Even if you thought about it, right? So if that was the case, then if we're automatically part of the Democratic Party, then shouldn't the Democratic Party have figured out the way to file a lawsuit for us in return? Because the abuse is unquestionable, right? So when you need us, we're there. Nobody's been there to reciprocate. So it's a fair question. Obviously, Kanye, sometimes when he's passionate and ramped up, it comes off the way as passionate, ramped up. It may even come off as psychotic, right? But I think if you bring it down 10 notches and just ask the fair question, like where's the reciprocity at? Where is it? And I think that's what he was really just trying to get at. Like, where's the reciprocity for our loyalty to any party? So why can't we just literally look at someone and weigh it out? You know what I'm saying? And look, nobody wants to get called nigga. Let's just say what it is, right? But we all know niggas need to be doing better. So nobody wants to be called Nigger, but we all know Nigggas all need to be doing better.
Right. You know, you mentioned earlier how you produced this project, and you know, I feel like you've had front row seats to some of the greatest. Right. I mean, you've seen what Tip's like, you've seen what Ye's like. How did those influences bleed into your approach on the production side?
Because I'm just a student, so as great as I can be, as humble as I can be. So when I don't know something, the best thing to do is put the best instructions around you. And everybody knows my history, and so once again, when it came time for me to do my science project, I was here to ace it.
Man, there's this was a big month. Was it this month or was it last month? I can't remember. Big month for Tribe. You know, Tribe was inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. What was your reaction?
I mean, at the end of the day, I'm part of a catalog that's in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. I did Beach Rounds of Life. I did We Got It From Here, Thank You For Your Service. So, I mean, for me, that represents a level of excellence with my pen that I have to continue.
Now, I would ask you something that I've always just felt. I've felt this. I remember, one article from who knows what magazine back in the day this was. But I always had this question, right? And so there was a point in time where I remember before skinny jeans got real popular, I feel like I can't remember if it was Cam or Jim Jones. One of them was saying Kanye's pants are too tight. He can't hold $100,000 in his pants. I can hold $100,000 in my pants, right? And so, long time ago, one-off reference. But it was before Late Registration came out. And every time I listen to Gone, I feel like there's subtleties at people who were critical of Kanye's pushing fashion choices or whatever Kanye was doing, right? Because the whole song, the first verse, I guess this was supposed to be on a J-Lo record at some point in time. But the first verse, he's using a store metaphor, like a fashion store metaphor in the first verse and the last verse. And then Cam's on there and then you're on there. Other than being on initially for J-Lo's album, I guess, what was what were the motivations for his verses around there? I mean, I think I know your story as well. If you want to reshare that, that's up to you. I know you had a dream and it just came out.
Like you said, it was his first verse was initially supposed to be on J-Lo's Get Right, and I was supposed to be on it. That ain't go through. But I think overall Kanye with his verses at that particular time was just using his platform to address elephants in the room. I don't know if it was directly directed at Cam. I don't think it was, to be honest with you. I think a lot of those shots that were fired at him, he just took the bullet and pinged. Because he's always been looking at a bigger picture. Which is why he would even have Cam on gone. Because most people would have took any shot thrown at him and be like, I'll never work with you again. You know what I'm saying? But I think Kanye as a producer um put the final product in front of any grievances. But he was, yeah, if you heard something about yourself and you rap, let me let you niggas know something though.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I think it's just that.
That was my favorite track you and Kanye have ever done. That's one of my favorite Kanye raps ever, to be honest. My second favorite track is Good, Bad, and the Ugly. And there was just so much excitement. I was in Brooklyn at that time. There was so much excitement for everything you were doing on that track and then on that album as well. But I just feel like your concepts, whether it's those two tracks or whether it's other music you've done, have always been at the forefront of your presentation. And I think I don't maybe this is just the cynic in me, but I don't feel like I see broader concepts like creative approaches to storytelling and literary devices and repetition used as often in contemporary rap music. I mean, how do you feel? Do you feel like storytelling is a big thing right now?
I definitely think you need to know how to do it.
Right.
I don't think it's as simple as just doing it. Because the reason why I could do it is because of my point of entry into music, period. You know what I'm saying? So if you didn't really live Slick Rick or KRS, then the modern day blueprint for I can't look, I think Tyler tells stories on Chromatopia. You know what I'm saying? I don't think it can't be done. I just think that you just have to be at a bar level where it works. You know what I'm saying? When I wrote The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, I was going through a story. So, it just really was just coming to life through the art. You know what I mean? I remember Kanye picking me up from the train station, and me well before that happened, we had a conversation. We had a custom model Mike Tyson conversation, um, as far as what he felt like I needed to do, um, because at that point in time, when it was 2002, he's basically, you know, the the big three production at Rockefeller. It's him, Just Blaze. I guess you would say, I don't know who was the third, maybe between
Bink?
Bink, but between Bink and the Heat Makers, because then they start, but definitely it's him and Just Blaze. You know what I'm saying? And so, and I'm saying that as far as not from a talent perspective, because we all know Bink is talented. He did Who Shot Jamal for me and Caden. But what I'm saying as far as a line to the paper, you know what I'm saying? Or even a line to Jay-Z, a line to Dame. They living in baseline. You feel me? So with my situation not being signed at that time, the custom model Mike Tyson conversation is like, yo, I feel like this what you got to do to 1, 2, and 3. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you're championship material and I see it, but you're not giving me what I need to go to Don King and say, hey, Scott deserves a title fight, then what are we doing? Right? So to speak. So after that conversation, then he maybe there's 10 days. I said, all right, cool. Sift through J Arms beat CD instrumental. J Arms used to have, there's a DJ. I used to go to Jamaica Ave, and so I was still living in Queens. I would go to Jamaica Ave, and it would sell instrumental CDs for $5, right?
Okay.
So I went to maybe I got like 4 of them for $20, right? Going through the joints, I had a freeway beat that goes goodbye. Just Blaze did it. I wrote the Good, the Bad, and Ugly to a freeway instrumental.
Say word.
That's how it came up. So the whole Good was me just going off of the goodbye initially. It wasn't the Al Green beat that everybody hears. The Al Green sample that everybody hears now. I didn't write the Good, the Bad, and Ugly to the Good, the Bad, and Ugly beat. The Good, the Bad, and Ugly beat was one of GLC beats, and he took it from him. Unfortunately, but that's why Spaceship. So in return, so what? Like I said, so I write the Good, the Bad, and Ugly, and vocal it at my man Jay Blast spot. And next time me and Kanye link up, I got 6 freestyles. But I took heed to what Cuz the Motto had to say, right? So I got 6 freestyles. First 2, oh, these is crazy. Third one is the Good, the Bad, and Ugly. Hold up, what's the fuck? What is this? He played it like 5 times, right? In the car before we even go. He's picking me up to go to his crib where the studio's at. He just chill for a second. Hold up. This shit is crazy, right? Yo, we should do a song of this shit. Okay, word. But I'm still like, okay, word, because do you even, not that you don't like them, or do you like them? I'm just like, this is a different conversation now. I went from getting basically screamed on to like, yo, I'm a fucking fan. You know what I'm saying? So it was a little bit to take in at the time. So by the time we get to the crib, yo, he loaded shit up. Yo, say that shit to this beat. I said it to that beat. That was a Good, the Bad, and Ugly. You know what I'm saying? So initially it was just me on it. And then he did the chorus. And then he was like, yo, I need a verse of this shit, yo. So then, like that's the Good, the Bad, and Ugly first joint that we ever wrote together. Like as writing together. Like before that, he was whatever we did before that, like he wrote all his own joints. We like, yo, this one I need, because the concept I need you to, so just to, keep it tall. What you're saying about the concept is just like, yeah, that's just my point of entry. So and so like I said, it was GLC beat. I didn't know that though. You know what I'm saying? And so I found out because he was like, yo, this, we gave it to DJ Enough. And then so GLC had what he had to it, but that wasn't the record anymore. So then he gave GLC Spaceship. He's like, I'm gonna do something else for you. So they did Spaceship, and then so GLC asked me in return for me taking could I rap on Spaceship, and that's how those 2 records came about.
Word up! 1 second applause. I love that. Yo, I think it's funny because in a retrospect, I think to a lot of people too, that time period does feel like a golden era for some people, right? I mean, you have for a younger generation, we'll say.
For sure. That's what's so crazy about my life, like that I had more than one golden era. I probably had 3. I probably had at least 4. You know what I'm saying? Which is which is not a norm. You know what I mean? It's definitely an anomaly. I mean, because there's actually just a golden era of me just growing up to hip hop, right? Where, like I just said, I was commenting on Ambrosius for the Heads page. I was like, yo, House Party was the first of its kind. That's the golden era for me. And watching Video Music Box and what was my man Bobby Simmons, and seeing Public Enemy's Basshead video, and Love's Gonna Get You was my favorite video. And you know what I mean? So that was, and even the first time, just, obviously me buying Lottie Dottie and seeing Kane and Ain't No Half Stepping video, and watching Scoop and Scrap do the fallback on Lean on Me. Like that's a golden era for me as a kid. But then, then there's the golden era of me rapping, you know what I'm saying? And once again, like you said, me becoming a guest member of Tribe for Beats Around the Life. That was a golden era. And Puff, and just watching Biggie and Puff and the Wu come out, and being in the studio with Nas, he recorded One Love. That was a golden era for me. You know what I'm saying? Being in the studio with Big when he recorded the Pac diss verse on Busta's album that never came out. You know what I mean? That's a golden era. And then even when that subsided, then remember all these situations is me looking at people who are older than me.
Right.
So then Kanye is the first person that I worked with that was really that I was successful with that was my age, or Kanye's a year younger than me, but that's basically my age. So then I had a whole new golden era where people met me for me though. You know what I'm saying? Right. Not for me being oh, this is they man, this is his little cousin or whatever that was. You know what I'm saying? Nah, this was just me being cons, which is what I always wanted to do. You know what I'm saying? And so now there's another golden era because now I'm raising my son as an artist.
Right.
That's probably the 24 karat gold right. Era.
Word up, 1 second applause. Man, so wait, so what did Biggie say in that verse that never came out? That's on Busta's album. Do you remember any of the bars?
Diamonds in the front, some rooftop, dipping in mean with the gangster lean. Ooh wee, you see the ugliest. Brooklyn Loch Ness. One test, rapper and the actor and the chiropractor for crack jaw. I twist your body round and round, upside down. I mean, other people have quoted it before too, but yeah, I was there when he did that.
Word. You know, one of the things that was really surprising to me about this Kendrick and Drake beef, one of the most surprising moments of this was hearing Kanye do a Like That remix and actually throw like hard shots on the song he put out. Like J. Cole get the
I don't have no comment on that.
I mean away from just like, well, I think this speaks to kind of what you were saying before around Gone, right? You know, like when the fact that I heard a Kanye West really dissing artists was very surprising to me, because regardless of any friction he might have ever had, I've always taken his approach to things the way you described it, right? Like he's got a bigger vision, right. We'll just dust that off, right? But in this situation, Kanye was so motivated to actually release something. I'm sure he's recorded all kinds of stuff that's never come out, but like he actually shared this one with the world. I was shocked by that. Did that catch you off guard, or did you have? I know you don't have any comments, but like
I don't got nothing to do with that.
Word up.
You gotta know what to jump in and what to not to jump in. And right. That one I'm gonna still clear that one.
Word up. Now, since you're someone who's referenced 4 different golden eras, right? You know, you've seen how rap battles have played out in every decade, probably, right? And what's your takeaway? We'll say that from Drake versus Kendrick, regardless of whether or not you think somebody won or lost. Do you think that this has a broader impact on things that we might see more often in the future?
I mean, the battle aspect of hip hop is it's always a healthy thing for what the art form is, you know, because it's just the art form that's a component of the art form. So that's my take. I don't have a this way or that way with it. You know, I know both gentlemen in different contexts. You know what I mean? So you know that's their thing. I'm never one trying to attach myself to something I don't have anything to do with. I don't have nothing to do with that. But as far as the art is concerned, yeah, I mean that's part of the art. You know what I mean? And there's a combative part to the art, and whoever you, like you said, whoever you feel the scales tipped, won, lost, it's just a part of the art. You know what I mean? And as long as it's the art, then it's all fair in love and war.
Do you think this is the biggest battle in hip hop history?
Present day, yeah. Present day this year, yeah. I mean, there's been other battles.
I'm just saying, like for example, right? Like if I think about the biggest battles, right? You've got Chris versus the Juice Crew, Biggie and Pac, Jay and Nas. Jeezy and Gucci to a generation. But to me, those first, those are the biggest ones, right? And then you got this one. In terms of impact on the culture, is this the biggest battle?
I think the biggest battle impact wise on the culture is Biggie and Tupac. I do. I mean, I think, and I also think the best battle probably was Jay and Nas. Um, but I do like what this was. I mean, because I like the fact that there was multiple records. I like the fact that they were able to shut down the game. You know what I'm saying? I think they definitely solidified their spots as far as the modern day artist is concerned with the battle. You know what I'm saying? One way or the other. Um, and just the amount of focus on hip hop because of it really means something. It was it was a intense amount of focus on hip hop around what was it, May? What was that? It was starting in March and ending in May.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That was the conversation in entertainment. You know what I mean? So you know, and that's crazy because at the same time we were watching the dominoes fall with Puffs. So for them to actually dominate the conversation in the midst of that was a feat. I mean, but I mean, but I'm big on history, and I don't think you even get to any of that without the two previous ones that you named. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, I don't. I think that with respect to KRS and Shan, I mean, I think that's more song for song, but then the careers don't sustain the battle because Chris goes on, Shan goes on, but they don't go on in the same manner. Whereas, like, I think what obviously, unfortunately for Biggie and Pac, there was tragedy on both ends. I think with Jay and Nas, that's what I said. Like Jay and Nas was probably the best just because they both were able to survive it and thrive moving forward, and the culture came with them. You know what I mean? And they showed the culture that it could get nasty, but it doesn't have to get deadly.
What was it
And
like?
we could actually,
No,
I was going to say that we could actually figure out as men that the respect. And you know what's an underrated battle? I ain't gonna lie. Jada and Beans.
Good point.
You know what I'm saying? That's an underrated battle. And I think I like that comparison with the move on thing. And it could get nasty, but it don't gotta get deadly. They shit got nasty.
That shit got ugly.
Yeah, that shit got nasty. That shit got nasty.
What was your you mentioned the dominoes fall with Diddy. I mean,
Yeah, I mean, that's when it all started. That's when it started, and the culmination was him being locked up now.
Yeah, I mean,
That's when it started. Was then they was talking. I think the Fed raid with the kids happened when the battle happened.
Yeah, it was around that same time. I think.
Right. Yeah. So that's what I'm alluding, speaking on that. You know what I mean?
Were you? Well, I mean, when all this was happening, were you caught off guard?
I think his kids was caught off guard.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't think they expected to be in handcuffs that morning.
It's such a weird thing because, like, I'll tell you my reaction. When those allegations came out, all of a sudden, everything that people had, not the allegation, excuse me, when the CNN video came out, all of a sudden, any allegation.
You're talking about the Cassie, Cassie clip, right?
Right.
Okay.
Cool. When I saw that, all of a sudden in my mind, it was almost like every allegation I'd ever heard about Diddy at any point in time felt true. Right, whether it's the basketball game in the early '90s in Brooklyn, whether it's stuff at Howard, everything, whether it's Biggie, whether it's everything, just all of a sudden felt true.
I mean, that's the power of the media, and the power of persuasion. You know what I'm saying? And that's just the power of stunting. You know what I'm saying? I mean, when you stunt, there's a ticket with that. You know what I'm saying? I mean, he's the same guy doing the ad libs on "Pray for My Downfall." So, I mean, you know what I mean? I mean, I'm just saying, like, that's. I mean, look, man, it is what it is. Um, I'm gonna just say this, like, at the end of the day, you know, I don't. He's gonna go to trial, and we're gonna find out. I'm gonna put it like that. He gonna go to trial. We'll find out. We're shaking. That's it.
Now that you are, I guess, your fourth golden era again, I do like the way you phrase that. And your son, Caden, you're managing his career, you're giving him game on the industry. What's your hope for him as an artist? And what are some things that you're teaching him that maybe were difficult for you to learn or you took the long way to understand?
I think you have to, my number one thing with him is honing and respecting what you're doing. And even regardless of, we strong believers in the Most High, he and I, you know what I mean? And so, you know, we gotta we gotta cherish what we've been given. You know what I'm saying? And really take the time to maximize what we've been given. And I'm not a person who believes in tidbits. I don't do tidbits. I can't eat tidbits. Tidbits ain't gonna feed nobody. You know what I mean? So when I talk to my son, I let him know, like, listen, at the end of the day, you could do something great once, but I know for a fact how this payment system works. It's based on how things perform. And so in order to go down in history, one game winning shot ain't gonna do it. So you gotta stay in the gym. You gotta be able to put your missteps behind you as well as your triumphs behind you. You gotta it's what warrants a celebration, warrants a celebration. But we're not here to celebrate, we're here to elevate.
Word up. This is my last question for you. Given everything that you've seen throughout hip hop history, right? From Nas rapping on One Love over Q-Tip's track, whether it's Biggie diss Tupac on a Busta Rhymes song that never came out, whether it's Kanye running for president, whether it's Tribe in the Hall of Fame. What still surprises you about hip hop?
Me.
1 second applause.
Me. And because of what I just said, like, all of those things are scenarios. See, what people got to understand about, like, I like to say this. I'm like, I'm going on 1 year. I'm going on definitely 6 months without crashing out. Right. I'm 6 months clean from crashing out.
Word up.
Any of these, look, any of these things. That's why I said we're not here to celebrate. We're here to elevate. Cause you could crash out celebrating. Don't get it. You don't gotta. Things don't gotta be bad for you to crash out. You could crash out because shit is just good. You feel me? Like, and I attribute that to my faith and my faith institutes discipline. You know what I mean? And through all of that you said, there's wings and demons with everything. You know what I mean? And I think what keeps a man balanced is just what I said. And so That's why I said me, because for me to be able to have that understanding is something that I do applaud myself for. If I don't even applaud myself for the good, the bad, and the ugly verse, but I applaud myself for being able to write the good, the bad, and the ugly verse after stressed out. Because most people would have been like, I got stressed out. I don't got to do that in their own head. You know what I'm saying? And that's where a lot of our fault line lives, is in our own head. And the minute that we can get out our own head and get out our own way, there's a lot of things for us. You know what I'm saying? And so, you know, my advice to any young person is just like, definitely be proud of what you've done, but know that with faith, humility, and an open mind, there's so much more that you can do. And you have your time here, and then we all destined for somewhere else, one way or the other. So just turn up, expound on who you are. You know what I'm saying? You know, one gig doesn't define you one way or the other. You know what I mean? Which is the reason why I can say I've had this, I've had that. You know, one gig doesn't define me. I didn't have to work with my son, and I didn't need my son to work with me. I wasn't a casting couch dad that was like taking him on auditions and everything else. But what I did realize somewhere along the way was what nepotism would mean in my family if I could create that scenario. You know what I mean? If I could create a scenario of lineage and passing down and taking the time to hand over the torch and go from a player to a coach. You know what I'm saying? It didn't take anything away from me. It would only enhance everything that I'm doing as a man, and that's the important thing. Like, you know what I mean? Like I'm not a chauvinist. I'm not hyper masculine, but I do think that manhood in the Black community needs to be more of a discussion and conversation and what that means to those looking at us for that. You know what I mean? And why manhood is such a better alternative than selfishness.
Word up. That's a great closing point. Consequence, is there anything else you want to share? You want to let people know?
Like I said, 1213, back outside. Night doing business with you, the deluxe edition. And 192 Records is up and running, and we got the debut album of Kate and the Crown Holder, tentatively titled Coming for the Crown. It'll be our first quarter 2025, and then we got the 192 album with me and my son dropping before the summertime. So we up and running. We got a full release schedule, which I'm super happy about as a CEO. We got and you know, with the deluxe edition, you can find What Has America Done, featuring the legendary Chuck D of Public Enemy. Go on YouTube. Make sure you check out the video that we discussed here. It's an incredible piece of art dedicated to the journey of us as of us as Americans. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't exclude any other race. It's just a bird's eye view of what Black Americans have endured being in this country, and a reminder of what we need to move forward. So, you know, that record is on there. And Bloodstained 3 is on the deluxe edition as well. And I can't wait for people to finally hear that. So we moving and grooving.
Word up. Thank you for joining us, Consequence. 9-second applause.
Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom bapping. Systematical culture views us radical, it's all happening. Shaking hands and dapping it. Life through the lens of hip hop, from trip hop to yes, y'all, you don't stop, you don't stop. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening. Justin Hunte is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening.